Hello everyone, it's me Clayton. I just finished watching Insidious The Red Door, the fifth and final chapter of the Insidious franchise, starring Patrick Wilson, Ty Simpkins, and Rose Byrne. So, after Insidious 3 and The Last Key went on a different chronological spin in comparison to the other Insidious films, The Red Door acts as a direct follow-up to the events of Insidious 2, and it's set to be the final chapter of the saga of this family and the further that they have to go into in order to battle their inner demons. And as far as this one goes, I think it's actually in the middle of the road when it comes to the Insidious movies. It's certainly not to the same standards as the first two Insidious films, but I do put it above Insidious 3 and The Last Key. But let's get to the story, shall we? The story, once again, involves Josh, played by Patrick Wilson, as he sends Dalton, his first son, over to college for the first time, played by Ty Simpkins, who has really grown up quite a bit in recent years, but you'd kind of expect that. But when Dalton gets to college and goes into his art class, he figures out that there's a red door within the further, and that he has one last thing to do in order to stop the constant visions of demons and goblins from entering his mind. He and his father have to go into the further and unlock their astral projection abilities in order to seal the red door once and for all, and to finally put an end to this saga. But that's all I'll say about the story. On top of having Lynn Shay come back in a few cameo appearances, she's always been my favorite character of the series, so I'm glad that she does come back here. I do appreciate the fact that this feels like it's where the franchise comes full circle. It took a long time to get here, but it definitely feels like that in its story and when it comes to how the characters go through this journey. But it does feel like some of the scares aren't as effective as they used to be. There are some standouts, such as one in a college dorm room and there's one inside a medical machine, but it feels like a lot of the scares are ones that have either been done before or ones that were done better in the previous films. Heck, there's even a montage through art pieces in the start of the movie that show the best scares of the previous movies. It's a nostalgic trip, but it also lets you know that maybe director Patrick Wilson is better playing Josh than he is directing these movies. That's not to say that he does a bad job directing it. He certainly gets the tension and gets the anticipation of the next thrill ride on here, but I do think that Lee Winnell and James Wan were definitely more adept when it came to their behind the camera work on this sort of thing. But there's also a lot of great acting from both Simpkins and Wilson as they basically take two different storylines in this film. One with Patrick Wilson trying to end his inner demons once and for all, and one with Ty Simpkins trying to get used to college and trying to figure out what the red door is and what it means alongside his buddy Chris. Chris, who's a black girl in this film, and who ultimately ends up being pretty entertaining as a comic relief kind of character, even if it does feel like she's brought into the film in pretty contrived circumstances, so to speak. But the actress herself does a fine job. Also, this film, on top of the scares feeling like they're a little bit samey, it does feel like the film's ending is one that could have been done in Insidious 2 or even the other Insidious films, and it would have ended just as well for the saga. It kind of feels like this one's just dragged out for the sake of having this film with an older cast. Which is to say, it's handled well, and there certainly are a fair amount of scares that do work, but it made me wonder if this film was ultimately necessary. That's why I'm going to give Insidious The Last Door a 6.5 out of 10. See you next time.